Hello everyone, welcome back to PRL, Performance Racing League, here on the Twitch. Once again, I am your host, HoopBK, and once again bringing some Sunday tier action, this time from the lovely and long Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Let's get set up. A little bit of a light field this week. I wonder if the weather in North America has anything to do with it. It is a very cold rain that's moving sideways outside my window here in the southern United States. No snow on the ground yet, but I'm sure some other places have much worse. Are currently dealing with much worse. So it explains why there's 13 drivers on the grid for now. We might get one or two more. Let's see. There we go. Get that all out of the way. Hope everyone is staying dry, staying warm. It is dry, but not exactly warm here at the virtual Spa circuit. I think the sun is out for qualifying, but it should be overcast, but dry during the race. So we're looking at Craig right now. I think, yeah, Gibby will be no, not Gibby, the other one. Rusty will be the first one to start a flying lap. And we'll go on board with Rusty for now. The very long, 7 kilometers long circuit, longest one on the calendar. That's about 4 1/3 miles for the Americans. Shot out of La Source, the ever-famous Eau Rouge Radillon. And then the little Kimmel kink onto the Kimmel straight. Wide open flap on the back. With DRS. Speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. Into, I believe that's Lacombe. And then a fun little overtaking zone here at, I believe it's Bruxelles. A lot of overtaking zones on this track, at least in practice. A lot of places for side-by-side racing. At a speaker corner all the way into Pouan. Very fast downhill left-hander. And he takes I'll call it Piff Path because it's so fun to say. Piff Path, the right-left in 5th gear. Easy to run wide, but keeps it on the track. That curb on the inside also a pain to deal with. And then the long run, nearly flat, all the way back to the bus stop chicane. Braking at the 100. Can he get the car slowed? Not a great line. Maybe a little too deep. But through the chicane and back towards the finish line. This Rusty oil can for the first lap gets into the 144s. Craig follows in 145. And Balzerga, who's had a ton of pace here in the Sunday tier recently, into the 142s. So grid is up to 15. It might stay at 15. Vico John in the McLaren into the 143s. And Joe Bidome in the Red Bull into the 142s and on provisional pole. Very, very early in the session, though. Gibby getting his first lap in on mediums. Couple of notable absentees for this one. So I think Mr. Bean will not join us, our championship leader. That's a 60-some point lead over Furzy, I believe. So Furzy looking to cut into that lead with some good points today. Gourd Sauce also not with us. Dr. J, another notable driver missing. Full-timer at least. But opens the door for a couple of reserves to join us, including good friend Spot Up Triples in his first Sunday race in, I don't know, probably a couple of seasons. And the V-Carb today. And validated already in entering turn 1. That's kind of impressive, actually. J-Story slotting into P3. I want to call that out. He's been very quick in the Aston Martin. That's a good pairing in the Aston Martin today. Who is furthest along in a lap? Got the Williams pair, both on push laps. There's Brian B. It says a purple sector 2, but who knows what that actually means. Still 11 the livery with the orange on the Williams. It's a great look. He's got the foot all the way down to the floor, braking at the 100 to get into the bus stop chicane. Back on the throttle, short shift into third, and into the 143s he goes. That's good for P4. How about his teammate Ghost Viper? Missed the split, but his turn to head all the way to the chicane. Puts a little more power in it before he shifts out of second. He's kind of jumping around a bit on my screen. But he's P6. Just was that on P5, too. About a hundredth of a second. Gibby pushing once more on the mediums. He's finding a little bit of time through one sector, it looked like. So, 10th and a half. Hey, Mr. Bean has joined. So maybe we do see the championship leader. That's the last thing Furzy wanted to see. Gibby found a ton of time there in Sector 2. He's found about 6/10. That's threatening for P3 on the board as of now. Well, firmly P3. See if he can find a little bit more and threaten to break onto the front row. Still plenty of time left in this session, about 10 minutes. On the mediums as well, 143.3. Kind of a wash on the back sector, but still good for P3. Maybe a celebratory slide out of La Source. There we go. So Mr. Bean will join us in the Mercedes. He's only missed one race this season. Here's Spot Up on a clean lap. There's Furzy. Let's see where he's at the Sector 2 split. 116.3. So maybe still feeling it. Getting the feel for the car. That's not exactly world beater speed from Furzy on his first push lap. But first, Spot Up triples in the V-Carb. It'll be the 144s, puts him right in the middle of the field, P9. And Furzy backs out a lap, will instead go into the pit lane. He was probably aiming for about the same high 144s. It's Joe Bidome starting a lap just behind his teammate who gets out of the way. That's Tar Heels ahead. It's about time for the second run. I want to call out the Yuppie. I feel like it's been a second since we've seen him. So welcome back, Yuppie. I'm looking for the split time, see if anyone's finding some time. Tar Heels just found a 10th, it looks like. There's Kobe, who I did not have a good first lap, but should find a ton of time here. He will be a threat at the top of the field. Whatever mistake he made on that first lap did not happen in Sector 1. see, trying to find who. Let's see. I guess that's Spot Up just ahead. So Joe already finding. He's found 4/10 through 2 sectors, so already pushing the boundary of 141s. If he can find a little bit more here. Really, all the time is to be found into and out of the bus stop chicane here, Sector 3 at Spa. A little bit of a slide, and cannot quite get the car to point the direction he wanted. It'll remain in the 142s, 142 flat. Great lap still from the Red Bull driver. He's had a firm grasp on pole position thus far, but Mr. Bean may have something to say about that. He starts his first lap, and Kobe immediately says something about that as he beats him out by 100th of a second. Great lap there from the McLaren driver. I just called out that he was going to find a lot more time from a minute 51, and he did. 9 seconds as he's at the top of the board. This pair, Brian and Nico, I think starting laps. Big puff of smoke is a little bit of a lockup into the downhill. Just so much elevation change at this track. Everyone's familiar with it at this point. Fun track to drive. Ooh, dips a tire. Turns in too early in Puan. So really pushing, and not a lot of curb there on the turn in at Piff Paff, so found a little bit of grass once more. And the 115s at the Sector 2 timing line. Let's see where this comes out at. Don't know if it's going to be a top of the board, but way down, braking at the 100, getting the car slowed down. A bit of a slide trying to get the car to turn in, and just not a great final corner. Into the 144s, and yeah, just behind his teammate in P13. What about Furzy? Another one we expect to be at the top of the board. Still is to get a clean lap in. Running out of time to do so. 4.5 minutes left on the clock, and it's a long lap. It takes a long time to get out of the pit lane and get back around to start your lap, so could be running out of opportunities here. In the 114s at the split line, that's closer to what we're looking for. I think that'll put him in the 142s with a strong Sector 3. Very, very tight on the front row right now between Kobe and Joe, but a couple other drivers may still come into play. Verzi across the line, 142.165. That puts a P3 on the board. And now all 16 drivers have a time. And then validation there. So a lot of drivers will be in the pit lane or on their out laps here with 3.5 minutes left until the checkered flag flies. Mr. Bean in validation. Not what you wanted there. He may need to go in, throw on some tires again, and get going to put in a strong lap. Or he's just going to say, screw it, might as well start P14. Yep, heading to the pit lane, sliding the car into the pit lane. He's got about a minute to put on tires and head back out. And his quest for pole. Spot Up triple starting what should be his final push lap. Tar Heel's not finding time through 2 sectors, a little big lock. But always on the safe soft, so screw it. I'll go for another one. Wonder if Ferzi's just going to try to... I don't know if that's not an out lap, so maybe a warm-up lap for Furzy. No, he heads to the pit lane. So 3 drivers on push laps. There's Rusty. He's found 3.5 tenths through one sector. Here's Spot finding some time through 2 sectors. We'll go to him since he's further ahead on the course. He's found 8 tenths. Should put him in the running for top 10. Furzy calls it quits. He will be P3 at best on the grid in a few moments' time. See how far Spot triples can jump. Coming down to about a minute left. He finds a full second. That puts him P8. Rusty has found a 10th. Not enough so far. Can he find a bit more here in the final few corners and jump to P11? Not quite. Comes about a 10th short. Is that Nico John? No. Kobe's on an outlap. Nico John stopped on track, actually. Trying to get out of the way. A lot of traffic headed his way, for sure. Let's see. It's going to be a Mercedes, isn't it? So Craig, he's found about a quarter of a second. But still, that's not going to be enough. He needs a good final sector here to get past Rusty Oil Can for P12. Not quite. Let's see, and there's the checkered flag. So Kobe will not improve. Brian is done as well. He had invalidated. Tar Heels is done. So Kobe currently at the top of the board, but everyone will have a chance to respond. Joe Bidome, how's he doing through 2 sectors? And we'll jump around a bit to see if we can check in on some of our other contenders. Trying to keep up with all the colors of the dots to figure out who is where. Joe not improving. Balzerga has found time. And that's a good amount of time, but will it be enough to find P3? It will not. 142.6 puts him at P4. Gibby is finding a couple of tenths. That could put him into the 142s. Who's ahead of him? Jay Story calls it quits there. Is that a Red Bull? Joe Bidome, yep, I realized at the last second, does find some time and jumps to P1 into the 141s. Gibby across the line, jumps a couple spots. Where's Mr. Bean at? Not finding a lot of time at all through 2 sectors. So, anyone else finding? Not Ghost Viper. I think it's going to come down to Mr. Bean. Just not a dialed-in lap here in qualifying. He may have just jumped in at the last moment with no practice. And he does find 4 tenths to jump his teammate. But Mr. Bean's going to start P13. So a good shootout between Joe Bidome and Kobe Plays. And Furzy, for that matter. But Joe gets the best of 2 of his rivals there. And he's going to start on pole position. Sorry I missed that pole lap. But I'm sure we'll have a recording of it at some point. Here we go. So our grid for our PRL Sunday Tier Belgian Grand Prix. Joe Bidome on pole. Kobe plays next to him. Furzy and Balzerga on row 2. Gibby and Brian on row 3. Jay Story and Spot Up on row 4. Yuppie and Nico John round out the top 10. Then there's Ghost Viper, Rusty Oil Can, who's under the French flag now. I just noticed that. Mr. Bean, 13th. Craig, 14th. Glucose, 15th. And Tar Heels rounding out a 16-car field. When did Rusty go to the French flag? Mr. Bean says, I've not done a single lap on controller this game, and I'm going to run no assists. So that's what it is. So I've explained why he's starting P13. Just brought out the controller. Said, screw it. You can see some clouds, but should have no rain. We will not have any rain. It'll just be cool and gloomy for the race session. So, question for the chat. Drop your answers in the stream chat if you wish. We've had 3 different winners in Sunday tier this season through 11 races. Mr. Bean has won a ton of them. Furzy has won 3 races, and Joe Bidome has won 1. Will we have a new winner? Would you take the field in this one, even with Joe on pole? Think some of the field contenders would be Kobe or Balzerga or Gibby. We've got a Rusty. Let's go. That'd be a hell of a drive. Oh, I was about to check our tires, but formation lap is underway. Let's see if it's gonna be a long formation lap at least. So, see mediums. A lot of mediums. Kobe is on the hard, so is Ghost Viper down in 11th, and Tar Heels in 16th. So, one-stop territory, perhaps, and trying to get the better compound at the end and go aggressive. Well, Joe has fully disappeared on the formational lap. Means he's going to be sitting for a little bit, though. Good aerial shots. Hopefully we get some good shots for the beginning of the race. Game says 1 stop. 9 or so laps on the mediums, or a 2 stop. Medium, hard, maybe. I just think that it's probably going to be a medium hard. Going to take care of them. Where is notable because it's such a long lap, but a 22 lap race, I believe. So the grid bookended by Red Bulls. Getting ready to go, waiting for the lights in just a few moments' time. Here we go. Joe Biden on the inside in the Red Bull. Kobe plays on the outside in the McLaren. Wait as the 5 red lights are illuminated and extinguished. We are underway. Bad start for the McLaren. He's going to get jumped immediately by the Haas. And Joe left some room on the inside for Furzy. Put his nose in there, but some ghosting has kind of left the field a bit of a jumbled mess. Gibby has lost out. He is around in La Source. Joe Biden holds on to the lead. Oh, car running wide. That was Nico John, and I think getting around Rusty as they go through Radion. Here we go. Helicopter shot. Have a little bit of side-by-side action in the rear. And we have Furzy off. He had ghosted. Gets back onto the track. He loses out a ton of spots, though. Mr. Bean trying to take advantage, and he's already up 4 positions. Gonna hop towards the front end of the field. Missed what happened, as that's J-Story getting to the inside of Kobe, actually, and will complete the move before they enter the turn. So he's up to P3. I missed what happened with J-Story's teammate Furzy. I'm imagining it's with Kobe or Balzerga. But he was sent elsewhere. Oh, man, destroys the braking marker. Tar Heels going off the track. And it's left Furzy down to P11. Kobe had a terrible start off, or at least a terrible jump off the line, and Balzerga got around him on the outside immediately. Kobe gets back around J-Story, heading back towards turn 1. This group is falling away from the first 2 rather quickly, already 2.5 seconds after 1 lap, but now a massive train, P3 down to P12. Let's go to J-Story. How about Brian, since they're side by side? Everyone has DRS here except for Kobe. Brian around the outside. Can he stay on the track? He cannot. He's going to have to lose the position and lose the momentum. Yuppie to the inside, a bit of side-by-side, and Brian has lost out big time. That's Mr. Bean getting by, moving up to P7 already. That's 6 spots in about a lap and a third. He is our big winner thus far. Yuppie up 4, J-Story up 3, Rusty up 3. And the big losers on lap 1 are Gibby, who had an incident into turn 1 down 10, and Furzy down 7. This incident at shit, what's that corner name? Right after Lacombe. So Joe starting to pull away from Balzerga a little bit on this lap. It's made it about a second. These two have checked out from Kobe. Mr. Bean getting by spot up, triples into the chicane, but then loses out on exit and loses a couple of spots. And Rusty's trying to make it a third one. He does. And we've got a car around. It's Furzy once more. into La Source. Just a nightmare beginning of this race for a driver who was looking to pick up some championship points against his rival, and he's going to lose a ton at this point. Kobe and J Story. That's a big Kimmel straight DRS overtake. J Story moves himself to the front of this train. The yuppie part of this group, and now that this group's starting to fracture a bit, perhaps with Mr. Bean's mishap into the chicane. For this new little train, spot up triples in P7 and down to P12, which is Ghost Viper. And Gibby and Furzy near the rear here behind Glucose, who is not a part of this DRS group. Let's see. Joe cruising ahead. Gaining a bit through Blanchiment. Went right over the curb, though. I think it's going to leave Yuppie closer to Kobe than Kobe to J Story. And that's brought Brian back into the group as well. He had dropped a little bit further away. Brian has been a fun addition to the top end of the field, I think. We'll go on board with him. See Yuppie closing in, and Yuppie will get to the inside. Big speed difference there. And he'll take P4. Kobe still just behind. Can he get under? He cannot. Taking it in second. Trying to get back on the power, but yeah, I was going to say he's going to not have the traction here. A big slip. But a good jump out of Speaker's Corner towards Puang. And we've got a yellow. I believe it's Furzy, who's come to a stop, trying to get going again. This is a nightmare for him. Sorry for jumping around so much. Trying to clock which one of these battles may have an overtake, but we're going to go to Mr. Bean on spot up triples round 2, heading towards the chicane. May have just outbraked himself the previous time. So he's kind of diving there for the apex. Trying to get the car slowed down. Still remains within half a second of the V-carb. Furzy pulls into the pit lane. Is it for damage? DRS open here for Mr. Bean. He's going to have a great shot on spot up, who stays to the outside. Leaves the inside open, side by side. But Spot up kind of concedes the position there. Don't want to over-defend and have something happen. Craig, I was just going to say, he was right next to Rusty on the timing sheet, and then don't know if he had some help into the gravel, but has dropped a couple of positions. So Gibby now a part of this group. He's trying to claw his way back towards the front. Bit of a recovery mode drive. Oh, Yuppie has gone around and has picked up wing damage, so that costs him a pair of positions and a lot of time. That brings Mr. Bean right to the rear of him. Is it going to slow Bean down? He's got to get around cleanly. High-speed section here and a tough overtake at Blanchiment. Doesn't have an Blanchiment. Yuppie going defensive initially, but goes deep, and will concede the position that way. I would not call that a good line. It's cost spot up triples. So he went deep, perhaps try to get back on the circuit. Oh, wow, what a mess here in a turn one. Spot up to the inside to get around Yuppie, and now we have a bunch of cars trying to get around the damaged Alpine. That's Rusty carving his way through. Gets to the inside. It's the inside for now. He does get there. Brave, but it works. And that's Gibby trying to get around Yuppie and Ghost Viper as well. Can he get around his teammate? He does. Can he get around Spot Up? He does not. Bunch of moves here in the first sector, trying to get around the injured Alpine. Moving a bit slower. So Nico John is a big winner there. He's up to P7. Spot Up had lost a bit of time as Yuppie, they came across the second apex of the chicane, trying to get back on the track. And Gibby, both of the Saubers just trying to cut through traffic, trying to cut around the Alpine, and they do eventually. It does cost Gibby 3 seconds of penalties. And now Yuppie, who had climbed a bunch of positions, has really lost out after the spin. He was up to P4. Very dramatic half lap there. Nico John on Mr. Bean. That's the McLaren driver. Nico getting around our championship leader. Will Mr. Bean respond here into the bus stop? No. Trying to get it squared up for... just very slow out of the bus stop. Trying to get back on the power and cost him a bit of time. Yuppie finally into the pit lane to repair that damage. Furzy had come in, also to repair damage. Oh, here we go. Brian on J-Story for P3. It's Brian sneaking into a podium position. Good helicopter shot there. And Gibby getting around Spot Up. With some DRS help. He now leads this train. Spot Up sandwiched between the two Saubers here. So I want to keep an eye on this J-Story Brian B battle. They're 5.5 seconds back of Balzerga and P2. And Kobe still in this fight. Has not gone to plan thus far, this race, for currently our lead McLaren driver, but I believe he's a reserve as well. Certainly could be going worse, though. And, sorry, that's J-Story we're looking at in the Aston Martin. We'll head to the pit lane for a pit stop. So maybe just trying to undercut the field, ditching the mediums. A little early. Nico John will do the same thing as well. I was not expecting end of lap 8, but I guess the window is open. Mr. Bean now leads this group from P5. So have a bit of a shuffle with the pit stops. It's Gibby just behind. This is a heavyweight battle here. Gibby's going to have a ton of overspeed with DRS, which gets open and he immediately gets by. Slam dunk overtake. Barely had the flap open. And J-Story new tires comes out P11, gets by Glucose for P10. Let's see, Nico John comes out a little bit further behind in P12, but has some space. They've gotten around Yuppie and Furzy. Well, both of them had to pit with damage, so. And our pole sitter is pretty much led wire to wire. Had to throw a defensive move into turn 1, but kind of run away with this. 3.5 seconds clear of Balzerga in P2. It's Mr. Bean getting around. Well, Gibby had gone off, actually. That's going to cost them some spots. Wonder what happened there. Oh, big speed difference. That was bizarre. As Ghostfire had to check up big time. I guess Rusty checking up with Gibby going slower on track. Brian hits the pit lane. I guess this is after 8 laps. So now the window's open. So ditching the mediums after 7 is pretty early. I'd call that undercutting territory for sure. Hopping around a bit. See where Brian comes out. He'll come out just ahead of J-Story. So these two were battling before, and Brian holds on to the position. He's P9, has joined this train. And we'll have DRS. This is quite the train, too. Let's see, okay. That's what I'm looking for. So a couple of fresher hards in the field. I would expect these medium runners to pit in the next lap or two. That's Brian getting by his teammate, who then runs wide and is going to lose an additional spot to Jay Story, who's on fresh tires. So Ghost Viper on the older hards, going to lose out on a couple of spots there. Our leader, Joe Bidome, will jump into the pit lane. So will Balzerga. Kobe will stay out as he is on the hard tire. Mr. Bean and Spot Up still very close, and Gibby as well. Gibby and Rusty, though, oh man, overshoots it there. Mr. Bean goes deep, but both Spot Up and Gibby will head to the pit lane. And was there contact there? That's Brian trying to get by Rusty. Rusty will go to the outside. Now both of these drivers on new hards trying to get by some rather tore up mediums on the Sauber. I think Rusty trying to play the DRS game here a little bit, because now he will have the flap open. Super defensive from Brian. J-Story having to get off the throttle as Rusty goes back around. So some smart maneuvering there by Rusty to hold on to the position with the help of DRS. But Brian gets to the inside. They may go side by side into the downhill right-hander. No, Brian will get the position back. So now he has a bit of a chance to get some separation here. But Rusty not making it easy for him. Will he make it easy for J-Story? Absolutely not. Attempt to move here? No. Joe Bidome did come out in P2. He's only 7.5 seconds back of Kobe, so still firmly in control of this race. Now he'll get to the inside and make the move work. Ambitious, but it does work. He was losing time to Brian rather quickly, so already outside of a 1.5 seconds away from his Williams rival. Will Ghost Viper get by Rusty? Hards in a little bit better shape. Good placement by Rusty in the middle of the track. Mr. Bean hits the pit lane, so does Rusty. So that'll do it for our medium runners. That's 10 laps for both of them on those mediums. They will hit the hard tire. So pit stops will still come into play as we have a couple of hard runners, well, hard starters that need to pit, including our leader, Kobe Plays. He's running out front, but he's lost a ton of time to Joe. Didn't I call out 7.7 seconds just a few moments ago? It's down to 5.6. Balzerga, 4.5 behind Joe. So the field's stretching a bit here. How about Craig? Has pretty much undercut the field, but that's 5-lap-old hards now. He's got to take him a long way. He's holding up Spot Up, Gibby, Yuppie, and Mr. Bean, who is on brand spanking new hards. Watch this group. That's Mr. Bean getting by Yuppie. He does get clear of him. It's going to cost him a bit of time, though. Let's see who gets impatient first. Gibby all over the rear of Spot Up, but Spot Up, a rather patient racer. Knows he has some opportunities coming up. The heavy braking zone and the chicane, as we've now hit the back half of this race, lap 12. You do not want to throw away your race in the middle stages. You want to get to the checkered flag. Spot Up closing in on the Mercedes. Does not attempt to move. But not a great line from Craig. And it's going to give Spot Up a good chance if he can get back on the throttle quick enough. Not quite. And Gibby's going to be to the inside of Spot Up into turn 1. Gets the car slowed down and takes the spot with a bit of a rear slide. So Spot Up did not jump on the opportunity to get by Craig, and it's going to cost him a position. As Gibby gets around, there will be DRS for both of them. To the inside, there goes 1. Can Spot Up make it 2 on Craig? No, backs out. Was not quite close enough. But that's going to leave him under threat from Mr. Bean. And Yuppie, not too far out of this battle either. A good 5-car stretch here. So Gibby's recovery drive continues. And Mr. Bean does get around Spot Up. So Spot Up was really close to P8, and he's now P11. And Mr. Bean, a move on his teammate, Craig, and it's left him with a weird line. Fastest lap now, Joe Bidom, who is taking chunks out of Kobe's lead, down to 2.8 seconds. Oh, Spot Up has lost the car. And it's going to cost him some big spots. So, and Glucose has lost the car. He's trying to get it restarted out of Stablo. Spot Up will hit the pit lane. I guess he picked up some front damage from that then. Yeah, so Joe now inside of 2 seconds of the leader, Kobe, who is yet to pit. May have run a little wide there. We were watching the McLaren. Spot Up throws on the mediums. As of now, the only medium shod driver. I think that was the correct grammar there. We'll go to Yuppie, who's on the rear of Craig. Craig just defending, just trying to hold on to as many positions as possible. He had pit early, and he's paying the price for it now. The Yuppie also pit early, but also was dealing with damage. So the oldest of drivers who have pit, oldest hards. Kobe into the pit lane, speaking of which. He will put on the mediums, so he's going to be pushing as hard as he can pretty much for the final stint. He's going to lose a bunch of spots at the front end, though. How many? Well, he's down to 6th, 5th. It's going to be really close with Ghost Viper, so he will be 5th. He beats the Williams driver to La Source and to Arouge Radion. So P5 for the McLaren driver, now on the best tires, but does not have DRS. It's going to turn into a DRS battle with Viper, who gets around. Ghost Viper yet to pit. And Mr. Bean joins the penalty club. Pretty easy to run wide here. Pick up some track limits warnings. They leave room. Hey, what's going on, man? Missing you today. That's a vote in the stream for those watching on YouTube. Another one of our top half runners. I'm missing a lot of the full-timers today. It is kind of odd seeing a race without gourd sauce in it, but... And we did end up getting Bean in the end, even if he's only using 80% of his power. It's Mr. Bean, controller in hand, driving around in P9. Those around them also have penalties, so it's P9. Yep, this Williams duo, pretty damn good, but Ghost Viper does have to make his stop, and we're going to see him tumble down the order here. You pit from P5, P6. Means, like Kobe, he is going to have to be aggressive in the last 8 or so laps on the fresh medium tires, but it's going a long way down the order. P12, P13 maybe? Comes out just behind Furzy, and will have DRS immediately, so that's a bit of a group ahead of him that he'll get to play DRS tag with, but Ghost Viper always turning in strong performances, and Brian has been one of the more consistent guys I've seen in the league, really, in the 5-6 seasons I've been a part of PRL. Furzy had an incident pretty early on, and then had some follow-up incidents, maybe trying to push too hard. Didn't see exactly what happened to him, but out of Lacombe, beginning of Sector 2. And then I think it was just a matter of pushing a little too hard, losing the car 2 or 3 times, and it's been one to forget for the Aston Martin driver. When we started Quali, we were expecting him to gain a ton of points on Bean for the championship lead, and it's not turning out that way at all. Kobe has pulled himself within DRS range and even closer to J-Story. As I'm saying, that puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:45. All over the rear, going to have Valvoline imprinted in his vision. Following very closely up the towering Radion Arouge complex. And before DRS is even open, he has the position. So everything else is just a bonus. Pull out about 6/10 by the time he gets to the braking zone. So now he has his sights set on Brian, who is 4.5 seconds up the road. Lap 16 of 22 here at Spa. Ooh, dips a tire, though, pushing a little too hard out of Speaker's corner. Rusty on Craig, and this has been just a bloodbath all race. This group from like 10th to 13th. Rusty around the outside. Was that someone checking out in the background? I think that was Ghost Viper going a bit too deep. Rusty around the outside of Craig, who is still just trying to hold on to spots. Furzy in the same boat, pretty much. Those older tires. And now having to handle Ghost Viper on the fresh mediums, who had perhaps just overcooked them a little bit into that braking zone. And now Ghost Viper trying to play it smart here, but get around this trio ahead in a timely fashion. Gets the inside of Furzy. Well, Furzy tries something in response. He's not really close enough. Slides it into the apex, but not a bad corner there from the Williams driver. Quickly through the gears. Will go to the inside, but wise decision there. So he's going to have a lot of momentum as Gibby gets by Nico John for P6. Has a lot of momentum and right to the back of the Mercedes. A little bump and picks up the time penalty for the warning. So just cut the top of Radion. And the overspeed sends him into the back of Craig and cannot quite get to Rusty with DRS. Trying to sniff out a move here. Can he get to the inside? He does. He's alongside. And Rusty might have turned in a touch. There was a tap and both drivers slide. And all of that progress he's made over the previous lap has been erased. Rusty turning in to make the corner and just not really leaving the room for the Williams driver. Cost some spots. Rusty holds on to P10. Kobe has cut down his gap to Brian by about 2 seconds since I've last called it out. Podium still within reach. Let's see if I can get my timing sheet up here. Yep, so about 9/10 faster last lap. That's Kobe versus Brian. Mr. Bean put in his fastest lap of the race last time around. 147 flat. I think he's going to run out of time to Nico John and is still dealing with a 3-second penalty. So, firmly in P8, our championship leader. I believe he's finished outside the top 10 just once this season. I think it was an incident at Azerbaijan that left him 14th. Furzy gets around Craig. Can Ghost Viper do the same? Whew, gets real close to the rear. Just a frustrating experience here for the Williams driver, who he had called out was having a great performance. Gambled with the strategy starting on the hards. You know it's going to leave you further down the order later in the race, but has just not been able to make up the time or the positions. Craig has a slide. He does make up the position here. Like, he's got to get by Rusty and then also make up 3 seconds just to break the top 10. And as we've seen, Rusty is not making it easy for those trying to get around him. Well, it was a great start for Spot Up Triples, has spiraled. Unfortunately, he sits P14. Glucose, I think, had a couple of incidents. He is P15, and Tar Heels is thrown on the softs. Only driver on the softs, he is P16. His teammate at the front, and running pretty similar laps to P2, so a comfortable lead with 4 laps to go. That's Balzerga. I say is probably up there with Brian Beebe with consistency in performance. So very entertaining and waiting for him to break through. I think he's the next guy to really put down a good win here in the Sunday tier. Has he? I believe he picked up a win in midweek this season. I'd have to double check that. That's midweek tier 1. So A lot of entertaining drivers in PRL right now. There's certainly a ton of pace. Some good driving. Kobe, 1.2 seconds. And a lot of these guys are fresher blood, too. So, glad to see these guys come in and immediately make an impact on the racing in this league. Ghost Viper gets by Furzy. I want to hop to that because Rusty is next. It's going to be round 2 between the Sauber and the Williams. Guess that's a good transition to the plug, where if you're watching this and not a part of the league, please, we'd love to have you. Check out the link to our Discord in the channel description on the Twitch or on the YouTubes. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're on YouTube, need to subscribe to the Twitch channel. I think we're closing in on 250 followers, so trying to hit that magical, nice, round number. Just gives you a little tickle inside. Within a second now, that's Ghost Viper. On Rusty, still just kind of hanging out there. And Kobe actually losing a little bit of time as now maybe the dirty air starting to affect him from Brian B. Not close enough for DRS, but close enough to start feeling the effects of the dirty air on the front end of that McLaren. Let's see. Just 3-second penalties for the most part. Glucose dealing with 6. Maybe Tar Heels can jump into that 6-second frame with those brand spanking new softs. Saw a little bit of a wobble there. That's Kobe getting closer. Still dealing with the dirty air. Still within a second, but dropping a little bit of time. Not a great, or maybe perhaps Brian dumping some battery here. Yeah. Both of them pretty low on battery, actually. And I don't think Kobe's going to be close enough for DRS here to start lap 21. Big slide out of the chicane as well. Trying to get so much out of these tires. They're starting to feel it. 7 laps. The exit's starting to hurt on for the McLaren driver, trying to get the power down and not quite having the traction. Right around a second, and will he get DRS this time? We hear the click, we hear the beep, but don't see the flap open, so not quite. And he's running out of opportunities. There have been no opportunities really for Joe Biden to lose control of this race. He's run a very clean race, as low as P2 really with the pit stops, from pole position, held off a overtake opportunity from Furzy and Balzerga at turn 1. He's pretty much run away with it. So got to call out Balzerga. Great start, great jump off the line, put himself into the top 3 immediately, and has been running around P2 for pretty much the entire contest. Brian B had to fight for it, but is up to P3 and is expected to take the final podium position. Joe headed through the bus stop chicane for the penultimate time and will start the final lap. And Kobe must have made a mistake. He has dropped a ton of time to Brian, so must really be feeling the tires here, as it's now 3 seconds. Yeah, ran a 150 that time, as opposed to the 148 ahead of him, so made a mistake somewhere, and that throws away the chances at a podium for him. Still a strong race. Could have gone much worse for him after losing positions off the jump. Gibby's going to hold on to a P6 despite penalties, if he can keep it clean for another lap. And Mr. Bean, despite what I said earlier, has caught Nico John, but is still dealing with penalties. Can he get around him on the track? He's within 7/10 as we head up the hill. We'll have DRS. And wow, closing in very quickly even before DRS. He's got battery. And Nico John weaving to try to break the toe. He'll put himself in the middle of the track, and a successful defense there, at least into the heavy braking zone. Can Mr. Bean position himself for a good run down the hill? Not quite. Still plenty of overtaking could be done in this lap, though. Goes a lot deeper, and maybe he'll touch too deep. Gets to the rear of the McLaren very quickly through Speaker's Corner. Feel like he loses a bit of time on the entry to Pouan. And yeah, lost really a 10th. I think he's taking it in a lower gear than I would, perhaps. As Joe Bidome across the line is your uncontested winner, pretty much. Congrats to Joe in the Red Bull for a strong victory. So if you took the field, sorry, it was Joe once more. I think his second victory of the season, as some others have crossed the line. Will Mr. Bean get to Nico John? Big lockup by Nico John, and he'll cut across. I don't think it's going to be enough with the penalty, and Mr. Bean trying to get back on the power. Crosses the line 7th, but will lose it on the timing sheet. Ghost Viper will not catch Rusty. And he had a penalty as well. So some battles come to naught there. But some exciting battles throughout this race. Once again, another entertaining one that the Sunday tier guys have put on. Glad I never lost power and I got to call it. Still waiting for the sky to open up here, but so we'll jump to Glucose and Tar Heels. That Scarlet Ferrari making its final rounds here. So he will cross the line, and the field, as it started, will also finish, bookended by Red Bulls. Isn't that pretty much the Red Bull second seat experience, though? So 22 laps was not enough to knock Joe off the top of the podium. No Americans this time on the podium. I feel like I call that out when it happens, like all Americans on the podium. But it's a Brit on the top step. Race winner Joe Bidome, fastest lap goes to Kobe Plays. Driver of the day goes to Brian B. I can get behind that. I might give it to Gibby, though, who gets the most overtakes. And cleanest driver goes to Tar Heels. Your final results, Joe Bidome from pole, a commanding win. Balzerga from P4, it gets second, and Brian from 6th finishes off the podium. Kobe Plays gets 4th, Jay Story 5th, Gibby is 6th, Nico John is 7th, Mr. Bean finishes 8th from 13th on the grid. Not bad for a controller guy. Yuppie 9th, Rusty Oil Can is 10th. Ghost Viper is 11th. Furzy falls to 12th, a rough one for him. Craig is 13th. Spot Up is 14th. Glucose 15th. And Tar Heels 16th. I'm not going to be able to get the race director, unfortunately. Hopefully someone grabbed that for our clean race bonus points. Drivers with no track limit warnings can get 2 bonus points in a race. Let's see. That was round 12, so the penultimate round next Sunday. Hopefully I can bring you guys that action. Where are we next Sunday? Just says Italy. I believe that's Monza. So should be Monza next week before the season finale the week after at Spain. So thanks for tuning in once more to PRL action on the Twitch. I've been Hoop BK, and we'll see you next time.